Hopefully. 200%.
Still comes out the same.
Progress.
I need to find something else to do. I actually have a free night during the week.
Yeah, I think we need to roll. Well, you're looking younger. We can see the.
Oh dear,
Talk for a minute.
look at that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, look at it side by side.
Oh, hey, look at it. Hey. Also aging in place.
Look at that.
All right, so I am
Mr. Chair, it looks like
muted.
you have a quorum.
and my volume is off, so let me find my agenda and here we go. So we're recording, we're here, so I'll call us to order at 6:03. And welcome to the December 10th Scarborough Housing Alliance Committee meeting. Thank everybody for joining. And we'll go to item 2, those present. Eric, if you can just note those present. Noted. Super, thank you. Including, because we have a guest present here, and do we have anybody online?
No.
Nobody. All right, nobody braved the ether to visit us. Great. All right, item 3, approval of the minutes from October 22nd, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? All right, moved by Jim Ray, seconded by Leroy. Any discussion? Thought they were great. Question, all in favor of approving the minutes? All right, anybody opposed? They are unanimously approved. Super. All right. Item 4 is scope of work for the housing report. We talked last time about I won't say reissuing, but re-engaging to update the housing report that was done. Well, I guess it was eons ago.
Yeah,
20 years ago.
2005. Oh my God, that was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Don't say it like that, Sam. And
Old then too.
yeah. And so, last time and we all got a chance to take a look at it. Hopefully in the interim, folks had a chance to read through it and put some thoughts together. Regarding what would be useful to explore, without redoing the exact same report. But I wanted to have a discussion about that, confirm that there's still interest in, pursuing an updated report. I think there is merit to doing that. And then just talk about what would be useful areas of inquiry for a report like that. So I don't know, unless you've got some other preamble to.
No, I was just noting in the executive summary of the maybe report, there were 5 questions, and I don't know if that was kind of the scope of work at the time. But it does seem to me that they're all fairly still relevant. And it serves on.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, read that just as easy. If you have it.
Sure.
What page is that on?
So this is on page 1 of the report. So the 5 questions are: 1, is there a shortage of affordable single-family homes in Scarborough? 2, does the town have a shortage of affordable rental housing units? 3, what workforce housing needs are being created by job growth in Scarborough? 4, will young people from Scarborough be able to afford housing here? And 5, what housing cost burdens are faced by Scarborough's senior households? And those were, the central questions of concern for this report. As I read through the report, there were a series of things that came up as recommendations and ideas and action items. One thing that struck me was that some of them actually got done.
I was wondering what got done.
Yeah,
That was one of my first questions. What are the recommendations did we take action?
Some of it, and I could make up what I remembered, and Tom will probably be more technically accurate, but the sort of the biggest takeaway for me, or one of the, and I'm going to be a little cynical about this, but some of the things that some people gripe about the most are things that we kind of did on purpose. You know, as we talk about adding multifamily to our town's housing stock, it was on purpose. Because there was a shortage back when this study was done. And when we talk about, you know, not having as many, we're having more townhouses, it strikes me it was on purpose.
Yeah.
It was a direct recommendation of, you know,
More density.
due to having a shortage. And, you know, Tom, there, you could maybe.
Yeah,
highlight some
and
of the
those
other-
2 points and others, it's important to note that a comprehensive plan was adopted in 2006 too. So these two things were kind of coming together. This obviously had very specific recommendations, whereas the comp plan, as I recall, is more lofty and aspirational, if you will. And so you're exactly right. I think with a report with detailed recommendations and begin to the implementation part of the comprehensive plan, I think the two dovetail well. And over the next decade or so, a lot of that stuff made its way through into our ordinances and are still there.
Yeah, there were some other things that, you know, they talked about, you know, the value of a housing authority in town. It's 20 years later, we don't have a housing authority in town. Which may be a good thing, maybe it's not a good thing, I don't know, but and so, you know, there's a series of things and you know, the other big thing that shows up is, or that kind of got highlighted in reading the report was yeah, we've talked in some of these meetings about trying to articulate kind of this question of why is housing good? And why is affordable housing good? And why do you do it other than you're supposed to do it? And one thing that came out in reading this report was the strong tie between job growth and housing. And you know, for me anyways, that hasn't come out in a lot of the conversations that we've had in the community. And the importance of having places for people to live who are going to actually work in all the jobs that we're trying to bring the town into the area. So, you know, as we think about the next version of the report, I think that'd be an interesting area to explore.
So the connection between
Job growth. Yeah.
and housing needs.
Yeah, and you know, as we look at it's easy to see the number of roofs that are getting added to the town. You can see that with roofs, you can see that with cars going down the highway or down the street, but are we getting more jobs? And you know, are the two going kind of hand in hand?
Has there been any recent survey of where people live? Of those who work in town? And who would do that if, because to me, that would be an interesting thing to see. You know, to survey various employers or have employers survey their employees. Because employers, one of the big things ongoing, and I hear this on the county level, is we can't afford to hire, we can't find anyone to hire because they can't afford to live here.
And here's within,
Cumberland County,
Right,
and Cumberland County goes all the way up to Bridgeton,
right,
you know?
right. People don't want to live 30 miles west.
Karen Martin, among other things, is perfectly talented and loves data. So she certainly has a lot of that. I was hoping I could pluck those job growth numbers over this 20-year period. I don't have that at my fingertips, but she certainly does. And I think, but I think the point of this discussion is that an area that we'd like a consultant to dig more into, to see what the nexus connection between those two things are. Undoubtedly, we have grown in jobs in Scarborough, very notably in those couple of decades. And it'd be interesting to see how the number of units kind of match up to that, whether it's keeping pace, which is ahead, if you will.
Pretty sure you had all that information in your state of the town for the chamber 2 years ago. It was part of your presentation.
Yeah, I would think Karen.
Did the chamber do something that?
Tom just comes and does a state of the town at the annual meeting.
No, I know, but I'm talking about who did a survey.
Yeah.
Did someone do a survey of employees?
Karen gets it all through the US Census and the American Community Survey, so it's all federal government data.
Yeah, and if you look at this report, table 20 has this information of 1990 and
Right.
2000, and so updating that, there were, so the percentage of working residents of, so this is percentage of working
Page.
residents, page 36.
Okay.
Percentage of working residents in Scarborough who worked in Scarborough. In 1990, it was 25.7, and by 2000, it had grown to 27.4. And so it'd be interesting to see,
But we don't need a
how
consultant.
it's changed.
to do
I
that.
mean, it
That's-
it seems like we're dealing with a document here that's out of date.
So kind of
And
update.
You
that
think?
Karen Martin
Yeah,
would have data that would be able to inform us as a committee and leadership
right.
for the town. What do we need to do? We're the Affordable Housing Committee, so.
Yeah, or the housing in general. I mean,
Or
if
housing in
it, one thing I've heard is, if we've got company X trying to come to whatever area of town and they're trying to hire a bunch of vice presidents.
Right.
And those vice presidents can't find a place to live in town. That's a problem too. Right, so it's not just.
Yeah, but that's probably not a big problem.
Well, but it
No,
is-
Those are the people that can afford the house.
But-
That's
but-
probably the only people.
Well, but they can't,
Right.
I mean, that's the issue is that if these people can't get recruited to work in these businesses,
Right.
if all there is $2 million homes, in Scarborough, and they need $800,000.
Yeah, but we do have-
Right.
Well, the median.
That's not the,
The median price
Right.
in Scarborough right now is around 800.
right, so we,
Well, all right.
right, the presentation you guys gave to the board, the town council in June, I thought had all the data we
Right.
really need. We just need to update that to me.
Yeah.
And what it showed is most people that live in Scarborough can't afford to live in Scarborough,
Right.
even in today's dollars, right?
Right.
I don't think we need another study to tell us that's still the case. I mean,
Well,
do we?
I think it's helpful. I think it's helpful to have a baseline, to update it and to use a consistent set.
So we'll
work
learn
with.
that instead of 69% of people can't afford it here, it'll be 72. Is that,
Well, to see what worked and what didn't.
that's the different question. What worked in Scarborough? What we implemented over the last 20
Yeah.
years worked. That's different than just getting new data.
Well, right.
Because I think,
I mean, we're not saying just only update
Right.
the data, right?
the data we can get, they got
There's
it.
a lot of information, though, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really, it begs getting updated and.
Is it as simple as that, is asking someone to look at the
Update
study
this.
and update the study
Yeah.
for?
And a lot of the data, you're right, it's
Yeah.
available, but it ain't for us to dig up, we're not gonna sit here and
Right.
dig it up.
Then my question is, what are we gonna do with the data? What will it get us?
Yeah, where do we go from?
What is it inform, is it gonna give
Well-
us what our priorities are?
Well, I think if a professional goes, I think I don't know if it's not this person, it's somebody else that says, hey, 20 years ago, Dr. X or whatever who this guy was, said, you ought to do this, that, and the other thing.
Mhm.
You did this and that, you didn't do the other thing. And this worked, but that didn't. And if you tweak that, it might, in light of what's going on in your town, you might get different results than what you've got going on.
That's
So your
different
question
than
of what we
just
do with it, at least the council last year, and I suspect this will be an ongoing area of interest, is interested in formalizing a housing policy. So we actually have, charter courses for the future
Yeah.
to aspirational goals and a way to get there. Strikes me an updated study will help inform that policy. Where are deficiencies and what strategies can we use by way of policy to get there?
It's like, one thing we found in the past was, if people were scratching their heads as to, man, why don't we have any apartments in this town? Nobody's building apartments. Well, it turns out our zoning didn't really allow for it.
Right.
And so the reason nobody was building apartments was because they weren't allowed to. And so we changed the zoning to allow them to, and it turned out people wanted to build apartments here, and when they were allowed to, they did. And once they did, not only did they do it, there was demand for it, because
That's the other thing. I
people
think we
want,
changed
people
it.
wanted to live here.
We changed it, don't hold me exactly to it, but for a decade after we changed and added that as a use and the appropriate densities, a decade went by and no apartments were built. Something happened in
interesting.
the economy or maybe in consumer trends, that the demand presented itself and not surprisingly, the developed community kind of leans into where the demand is. And we saw, you know, for a 5 to 7 year period, a lot of multi-units being built.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good reminder too, that, you know, just because people can doesn't mean they will.
Yeah.
Right.
I just found the current stats. So in 2024, Scarborough had just over 24,000 people and just over 18,000 jobs exist in Scarborough.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Jeez.
Well, when you think about all the medical and
Holy
whatever.
man.
So 18,000 of the 24,000 work in town?
No,
No.
No.
no,
Just-
that's
That's
those
the
jobs
job.
and jobs that exist in Scarborough. Um,
Do you have a number of houses? I do.
yes.
Yeah, you know, it's sort of that question kind of gets interesting now, and I don't know how it.
11,000
Number of houses?
in Scarborough, 2024, there was just under 11,000 units
Okay,
of all types.
because I got single family houses in Scarborough, this is from the county, was 6,176. That was last year. That's single family.
Yeah, so with, you know, with work from home, you know, that also kind of gets interesting as to, you know, of all these workers, who's traveling and who's not.
So is as simple as these same five questions, but maybe even simpler, like, here's the study, this was good stuff, can you update it? Can you review it to see what the recommendations were, what we did, and provide some commentary on our success? And then also give us recommendations beyond. And there also was some discussion around exploring the nexus or the importance between job growth and housing needs.
Maybe that's a good place to start. My feeling is we should, as we said earlier, we should be looking at all types of housing.
Hmm.
The word affordable, and you mentioned this in the June report, it means nothing or something
Right.
bad to people.
Right,
What I think we need to start talking about is a continuum of housing availability for the town, including everything up to the top 10%. You know, how the $800,000, $1 million homes, we don't have to worry about. But most of the time, up to $700,000, $800,000, those people, the people that are in that workforce housing group, 80 to 120% of AMI, they can't touch
can't
housing.
find anything. Oh, yeah.
To me, that's the biggest, and those are the people that I think we want to live in town. Those are our young people, those are our firefighters, those are our teachers, those are our young couples who are both incomes and college graduates, and they're making 80 grand each, or 70 or 60, whatever. But they still can't afford a home. So to me, we need to figure out how can we encourage building the building that we're gonna get through 1829 and everything else, how we can incent, require builders to build a full continuum of housing. So if you're gonna build a 20 unit housing, you can take half maybe for market rate, but the others have to be affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever. Because I think if you want to build in Scarborough, you should be building for the people of Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
And can we do that as a town? Can we dictate that?
Yeah.
But do remember, this is the Housing Alliance, it's not the Affordable Housing
That's
Alliance.
right.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
But I
but we
think
need a
so I
whole.
think understanding
continuum.
what is the current state of affairs, what is our housing stock? I
Mm-hmm.
suspect we all know that one of the glaring deficiencies will be the affordability component. And I have no doubt that recommendations will be in large part centered around that, but understanding what we have is a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I like your
Yeah.
continuum of housing. I like that
Right.
term.
Well, the report we did in June, you guys did, the I said only 30% of the housing that were sold over, I think, the previous year, only 30% were, 69% were unaffordable to most of the people in town. I mean, so that whole continuum goes the whole way. So how do we as a town, because we've had growth over in Scarborough, we've had a lot of growth, and we're having some growing pains. But most of that stock, housing stock, people here can't afford.
Right,
And so we haven't really participated in housing our people. We've
Right.
housed other people.
You know, what would be kind of interesting with that study as well, is who buys housing in Scarborough?
I can tell
Yeah,
you,
you can sell it.
But I mean, like,
seniors with a lot of money.
but like, when we talk about housing our people, right, like, people are already housed.
Yeah.
Right, so are people moving around within Scarborough?
No,
Or when we talk about like creating new housing, are we really creating housing for people that aren't in Scarborough?
We have been,
But,
but
you know,
question,
like,
you always hear people say, well, my kids can't afford to live here, my parents
But they're
can't
not in
afford to
Scarborough.
live here. But my
Right.
kids live in Scarborough, they wanna stay in Scarborough, they can't.
you
get
can't afford to
Scarborough.
live here.
Or my mom wants to move and sell her home, but there's no place for her to go,
Exactly.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And why is it so expensive to live in Scarborough? It's because of the marketplace.
Demand.
It's a strong demand. And when you've got all the amenities that are immediately accessible to the general public,
Right,
then that's going to be more desirable than living on the other side of Gorham
Yeah,
or Buxton.
okay, yeah,
You know,
just commuting and
so
whatever.
then you start to say, well, is the marketplace going to really keep us from being able to actually, if one of our goals is affordable housing, and
It's
we're
called
not,
attainable housing, how's that?
I like, cause
Attainable.
every time you use the term affordable, I automatically go to,
Yeah.
60%.
and a lot of people do, and they think,
can you
But
get,
we wanna be, when we
can
talk
you
to-
buy? And
Yeah.
the answer often is, yeah, if you're wealthy,
Mm.
you can buy, but otherwise, no, you're out.
Right, the last 20 years in Scarborough, since this report, I think has proven that market conditions alone, even if you add supply, the demand has raised high enough so it hasn't brought the cost down.
Right.
Because
Has-
there's too
that-
much demand.
Well, I
So that
think,
has to be dictated in some way, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I think Jean Marie, you can probably attest, even when we had the real estate downturn, Scarborough wasn't affected wholesale like the
No.
other towns were. I
right,
mean, we still stayed.
well, it's a
Mm.
great place to live, and we have a very good tax base, and our taxes are very stable compared to, you wouldn't believe what I see for tax rates.
Significant.
Now that I'm in.
Non-residential.
1,000 more plus than Suffolk for my condo.
Right,
yeah,
And
So we have a very
it's-
stable tax.
For affordable, somehow the market needs to be shaken up, right? Affordable doesn't happen on its own. There has to be.
Right,
Right.
that's what I'm
subsidy
saying,
through
we
low
have
income tax
to
credits.
mandate it or
Or-
dictate it or facilitate it, whatever
Yes.
the word is.
And what's considered affordable that we're putting in place right now that we're seeing advertised as affordable is not affordable to most people.
No, it's not,
Right.
right, no, you're right. I don't know if I could afford my own house, to be honest with you.
I
Well, the
wouldn't
bank,
buy
you
my
know.
house. It's only been 5 years.
I should know what works too. You know, we can talk about this and the same things we talked about 2005. We need more housing. You can only do so much as a town. Unless you're gonna throw, we don't have the abundant subsidies to make it affordable.
Right,
Or somehow subvert the market. You just don't have those kind of resources. So locally, you can stop housing. Or
You really
encourage
can't.
housing, but you can't like suddenly artificially create it because you're throwing money at it. It's just not big enough.
right,
That money has to come from an entirely different place. And you can't
All
do
the
much,
state.
and I just think it's people have to be grounded in understanding what's practical. I mean, the reason affordable housing is done is because of the immense subsidies. that are
Right.
available to
Right.
them. Otherwise, it's all open to market, and no matter how
That's right.
much we talk about it, we're not gonna
Right.
affect the market.
Yeah.
Unless we do things like incentivize, development and create densities that are, over the top.
That's it.
and that's
Well,
what,
is there another strategy? To me, that's a question for a consultant, a housing consultant that said. You said there's nothing we can do. Is that true?
Well,
Can we actually say to a developer, you will have to build a continual housing? If you wanna build this house, you gotta build this house.
but that doesn't work.
it doesn't work,
Yeah,
No, it
but, I mean, what we.
Well, they stop,
Because then they
building, which is
They
fine.
just stop.
Was
There's
it?
Portland's right in that circle, right? now.
right,
They-
right.
Well, what's the downside of
It's all
that?
money.
I mean, what we could.
We have too much growth now, and we're trying to control growth, so maybe the fact that the developers will slow down if they say, well, that's not so attractive to me. What I'm saying is. we're gonna ask, if they wanna build in Scarborough, we're gonna ask them to take some of their margin from their big houses and eat a little
Well,
bit of.
and that's done through
Well,
requiring
they do, yeah.
inclusionary zoning,
Right.
a certain percentage of new housing
Right.
stock.
That's what I think, and
But-
the question is, how do we implement that would work?
Yeah.
But the
Yes,
market
unintended
response to that,
is-
Portland
yeah.
is the best, most recent
Everybody just
example
lived
is,
everywhere else.
they don't build, they choose to go somewhere else.
What,
Yeah,
And why is that not bad? Why is that a bad thing? If we have too
That's
much
your
growth
growth
now,
management strategy. Right.
but at
then you
least
get no housing.
for the,
That's not
for the
true.
growth we'll have that continuum of housing. Maybe we'll slow down growth, which isn't a bad thing. But maybe it will add some of that variety of housing. Maybe it won't, I don't know, that's what,
You know,
we're
what,
just spitballing.
Well,
here.
one thing we could do kind of along a similar line is if we, if we got a new snapshot and, I don't know, and I'll try not to use an example. And if we, if we learned that we have, an abundance of a certain type of housing and we get applications from people for, this type of housing and that type of housing, we might decide, that when we get applications for housing or for CEAs,
Mhm.
that we want to only encourage, the type of housing that we don't feel like we have enough of. That may be kind of a useful tool. So the one thing we can do is, allocate the resources that we have, which, really is sort of tips and CEAs or, maybe land.
And those are
But,
so
to
popular.
be able to take whatever resources we have and allocate them to where we feel like we have shortages, which is kind of like the other way of, sort of adding some gasoline to the
Mhm.
fire,
Right.
I guess.
Well,
It would help us set us priorities.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question? And I should know the answer to this, but I don't. The LD 1829, is that the number of it?
Mhm.
Is that the one where they said you can't limit growth in growth areas?
Yes.
Basically,
This-
am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And it goes further, to include areas that have water and sewer, so, but, yes.
Okay.
yes.
And you can put
And is the
three,
state,
the
and is this,
density is crazy, you can put 3
right,
Yeah.
and I know that.
auxiliary
that I know,
units on a
That I know.
lot. and-
The minimum
And
lot
the
size is 5,000
state,
square feet.
if I'm
Multiple units. Yeah.
remembering correctly, in their usual way, there's no money behind
Oh, this,
it.
it's
No,
unfunded mandate.
Yeah.
Sure.
because we've all failed to get done what we were supposed to get done, which is build a
So
slot
we've
full
done
of
our
housing,
part,
right?
haven't we?
well, one of the
yeah.
tools we have right now, Tom, you made a comment, I think, last couple, maybe 2 or 3 council meetings ago, that we received less applicants for the senior incentive program.
We did.
And
Curious.
I talked to one of the seniors about that, and they said we changed the guidelines to make it so people wouldn't qualify as much. If
No,
we
we
changed
actually-
those.
We increased it, we increased the household income to.
Oh, you mean the tax?
60.
The
Refund.
So
incentive for the
that's
seniors.
what was curious, is that we, by change of the eligibility, we thought we'd get more, and we actually got 14 less.
So we went down instead of going up for
Correct.
requirements, and we still got less.
yeah.
So, yeah.
The people
so
just not
So we do
know
need
about
to
it.
educate and
No,
vote a
that's
little
the
more.
case. So, I think we do a pretty good job.
Wow.
I'm sure there's folks that are aware, but, it's been around long enough that I would think that people are educated on it.
That's one thing we could use as a tool right now. Is
For
to
affordability.
get more folks to take advantage of that
Right.
program that's available to them, because. I mean, when we were doing the school, we heard a lot of people say
Yeah, I
they couldn't
just-
afford to live here anymore, but they're not taking
I'm
advantage of
increasingly
things that are
uncomfortable
there.
Well, maybe they make too much money, they've got too much income.
On a
Could be that
personal
too.
level, I'm starting to get uncomfortable with that program, only in that it's a redistribution of that. I mean, the way we fund that, it's a rebate program, so we need to raise those extra tax dollars from all the rest of us in town to pay a rebate to a certain class, and so it's getting to the point where it's a $500,000 shift of in this town, and I think I don't know, something doesn't feel right philosophically about that. I think we're reaching the point where we're meeting a need for sure, but because of the limitations through Maine Constitution
I
and
was gonna
whatnot,
say the state.
it's gonna be done by way of a rebate. And that means we raise it through the rest of us.
Have we looked at deferment, tax deferment for seniors?
It's a program that's available.
We do have that here?
So just
It's available.
in light of our time and just to stick with the agenda for the housing report, anything other scope wise that we want to get into the housing? Any other ideas for the?
No, I just think it's important that we get something done. And update data, cause I think it's important, you know, as an elected official to have data back, yeah. And I'm looking at my counselor
Yeah,
over here,
no,
and on a county.
these
level, that'd be
five
helpful
questions
too.
seem to be appropriate questions to put
Right,
as a part of updating it.
right.
And I think Karen Martin has that data.
I'm pretty sure she does. I'm pretty sure she knows.
Yeah,
how
but
many people are looking.
I don't wanna, I'm not in a position to volunteer her time, nor do I think.
Well, yeah, that's
She certainly can collect data that would be of value and use here, but I
next
think
time.
we're going to
maybe-
talk about
Next
specialized
meeting.
consulting.
Yeah,
So really, this conversation is all around
the
this
scope of the
point.
report.
You guys think we should be pursuing an update? If so, I would need to include some money in the next year's budget request.
Well, we've also got money in the housing trust fund,
Just
and
to go-
this is an eligible use for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think.
I
it's a
think there's
great
agreement that we need
Yeah.
updated, this old,
Huh?
out of date
use. You
data.
think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rent
Something
of
if-
800?
We don't know what we're trying to fix.
yeah, right. Well, that's it. I mean, it depends on whether you agree with the five questions.
yeah.
Well, I think I think we should be a little more inclusive with the questions. I think we should be looking at not just seniors, we should be looking
Oh,
at
yeah.
young people. We should be looking at
Yeah.
a continuum of people. In the comprehensive plan, it basically says we need housing for all our different
Yes.
constituents.
Because it
That's what I
says
think
young
we need,
people right here.
Can I?
So
that's okay.
I think if we were to engage, you know, find a vendor who does this kind of thing, they would likely come to this group and help us develop a scope.
Yep,
You know, usually people like this are pretty thoughtful about
Yes.
how they ask the questions and,
Well, hopefully, if they're experienced, they've done this before.
yeah.
For other communities
We can do
like
this
us.
one of two ways. We should either go through
The
an
easy way or the
RFQ. No, you go through an RFQ, in which case the first qualification, so you identify the preferred consultant and work with them to develop a scope in a budget, so forth. The more traditional approach is we develop the scope and go through an RFP. So we say, this is what we want. Give us your proposal and how much it's gonna cost. That's the more traditional route for us.
Yeah.
And we could undertake that work. That's why having this scope discussion is important. If we want to go that kind of traditional route, we would collect proposals from qualified consultants. And then be in a position to go to council that, you know, we have this study we'd like to do. It's going to cost us whatever. Please authorize the use of, you know, some of those monies for this purpose.
Would you agree that the town council would endorse that approach? Because everything I've heard out of the town council is we've got to manage growth better than we are, have been managing growth. That, it's been,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little uneasy talking growth management in this context.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Though
no.
some of the strategies
but
may end up
it's so
serving that purpose.
intertwined.
yes,
Yes.
We're talking about
yes.
housing, a lot of the growth is from housing. Right, so it's the whole thing is intertwined. It's intertwined with LD 1829. It's intertwined with
yeah,
short-term rental policies. All things connected, and it's happening fast because of the new law.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of time to sit around
That law's not helping
That's
us out.
And we've
maybe.
got a budget that is coming up that Tom can put money in.
Well,
Well,
do we have to?
I think we've already got the money.
We've got the money in.
Within our housing trust.
But
Same.
council would have to authorize the use.
Yeah,
You know, and we've been doing some back of the napkin calculations on the possible implications of LD 1829 in terms of the smaller lot size and the density and so on and so forth. Those numbers are staggering, potentially. I think I'd like someone that's a bit more experienced and more capable to do some of that. So that would be one thing I'd
Right.
be interested in, is to have consultants help us
right,
understand what
intertwine
does
that
this
whole
landscape
question
look
about
like?
Yes,
the
given some of
new
these-
laws.
some of these external factors that will
Yeah.
now impact us.
What are our
This
tools?
this was titled Affordable Housing Needs Analysis. We want to drop the reference to affordable housing.
I
or we
think so.
talking about housing
I think
needs?
housing in general.
Housing in general, and I think many of their findings or recommendations will probably focus on the deficiency in the affordable.
If
the
that's a-
attainable,
That's a
attainable.
conclusion, that's a
Attainable.
conclusion.
Right, because it's broader than affordable housing.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Attainable housing.
Attainable housing.
Yeah, to your
it
point,
just
though,
housing.
it
And
could
that
be
goes,
that.
that goes at least up until that
Yeah.
120% of AMI.
Yes.
That's kind of the least issue. It should probably go a little
It's your
further.
And the
workforce
LD
housing.
1829 vaguely talks about affordable, but
It
there's
does.
nothing in it that requires.
They're just making an assumption that more will bring down, the more
I
supply will bring
agree,
down.
but there's
Right.
nothing that requires it.
No.
The machinations behind LD 1829 were amazing. I'll just tell
It
you.
all behind scenes.
So-
Nobody knew about it.
I know.
So, Tom, besides this discussion, do you need anything else to get something useful?
I could take a stab at putting together a very kind of rudimentary scope. And I don't know that it needs to be pretty well developed. I think doing it similarly by asking questions and then really relying on the expertise of consultants in terms of telling us how they'd actually go about answering these questions and what that work would cost. Right.
Good.
Super.
Sounds good to me.
All right, progress. Looking forward to reading about it.
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, right. Not so
No,
bad.
we got.
Understand. Tom, item 5 on the agenda. There's apparently a new.
You want to just pull up the agenda, because with the agendas, there's some visuals that might be helpful.
Oh, sure. I'm in trouble with that visuals.
So,
It's a visual.
It is a visual.
The Dundee Crossing development approved some 20 years ago, took advantage of density bonuses that we had available. And in exchange for additional density for market rate housing, which they built, they are required to provide 10 affordable units. And prior discussions, I thought they were going to buy their way out of that in terms of pay the in lieu, but in fact, they are in front of planning board and are proposing 10 affordable units close to, on Stewart Drive, close to the Route 1 part of the project. And this visual will help just
That's
get that.
great. And now we're talking about 60% affordable. What's the definition of affordable here?
I believe it's gonna be 80%. That was the
80%?
requirement at the time.
Okay,
That's whatever's in the ordinance, right?
There you go.
great.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best visual right there. If you scroll down just a bit more. This plot is right after the apartments.
Yeah.
Close to Dunson Tap and Table, opposite an open field that will be a green space, if you will. And the proposal is for two 5-unit apartment buildings.
Yeah, and they're built like townhouses.
Yep.
Yes. So, Tom, as I read this, that was kind of my first question was, yeah, these are all described as affordable housing units, but I didn't see the relevance of them calling them affordable housing units in their proposal here. But it's because they've got a density bonus.
Yes, that's why they're doing them. It's not necessarily out of the goodness of their heart. It's because they
Have to.
got extra density that they've already used and they now have to meet this requirement.
Got it.
So pleased they're actually producing them.
Yeah.
The details will be worked out through the planning board process in terms of what deed restrictions will be in place and what methods that they'll provide to assure that they'll rent these to qualified buyers and such. I think if you scroll to the very end, there's actually some architectural renderings. if
They're
you're
not
interested.
condos, are they?
No,
They're
they call them
apartments,
apartments. They're
yeah.
apartments. There you go.
Do you know what the mix is? Are they all the same, Tom? Are they 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
Good question. Because that's too.
There's a,
Floor plans.
Says
there's no floor
5-unit
plans.
apartment buildings for a total of 10 affordable units. I do not see the mix of units, but I can find that out. I suspect they're all the same.
So at the bottom of what we had up when we were first there was something that said number of remaining permits for zone 2. So we have, does that affect LD, the new law 18, whatever it is?
The law doesn't take effect until the end of June 26, so we've got 6 months or so. So right now, they're still working within the current requirements of our growth management ready for ordinance.
But my question was, with us having those zones like that for certain permits, will the new law probably increase what that zone is allowing?
That's a good question. We don't know exactly,
Okay.
but yes, LD 1829 will overshadow and nullify our rate of growth ordinance in most respects. It has, I think, an unintended consequence of requiring us right now for our rural zone, basically everything west of the turnpike. We only have 25 permits allowed in that area, very intentionally. By our understanding and reading of the law currently is that, and I think it was unintended, but the law generally says you can't have less than 105% of your 10-year average for total rate of growth that you allow. We think that 25 could now be something like 225.
That's what I'm concerned with,
Even though there's no sewer out there.
because that's been a growth area that hasn't really been developed because there is.
There's no
water.
sewer, yeah,
No
there's no
water either.
utilities, there's no
The law
water.
was, I think, hastily designed in spite of rulemaking that was intended to clarify things. There are still open questions.
But,
The matter's back in front of the legislature as we speak
Yeah.
for some fix up.
yeah,
We're trying to get engaged in that process.
and again, I thought that 1829 was only for growth, designated growth areas.
But there's this quirk of the system.
Oh, okay.
How you
So there is
calculate
like a-
what's allowed elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting to, because I knew it was gonna grow probably 2 to
I
3 to
agree.
5 times what it was, even more.
So I bring this
So-
up just to say that
This is happening.
this is happening.
Great.
This has been almost 20 years in the works.
Yeah.
But this is finally happening.
Tom, so neat, wonderful. It's I remember there's been projects in the past where developers have built and used bonus density and sort of done the hard part last.
Or
And,
bought their way out.
or bought
Typically,
their way
they
out at the
pay
end.
Luffy and that's.
Sitting in the.
And it strikes me as, I don't know if we'll get to it tonight, maybe we will, but as we talk about things to do in the future. It strikes me that kind of stinks that this happens last when people get the benefit of a density bonus. That, I don't know if there's maybe a future expectation of a 1-for-1 or doing, kind of paying the bill first, and then getting
Yeah.
getting the goodies later. But
Yeah,
it strikes me that the town having to wait all this time to get the affordable housing
Mm,
that it gave the bonus density for is kind of too bad,
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's wrapped up in the planning board process, and
Yeah.
I don't fault anyone at the time. They were tickled to be able to say you must produce the
Yeah.
affordable units. It didn't define when they're
When-
built,
yeah.
where they're built, where they'll be, what they'll look like.
Yeah.
And it's probably an expectation that's unreasonable that
Yeah,
be able to define that. I'm just pleased that actually.
Yeah, this is super.
Frankly.
So
and without
relative
subsidy
to
or
that,
anything like that,
take what you get, right?
yeah.
should we look at those in lieu of fees? Try to encourage people the village to actually build these units instead of paying their way out of these?
Yeah, it was 20 for the longest time per unit. It was ridiculously low, 20,000. It's got 50,000. I think Portland's
Still low.
three times that amount. 185.
Is it that how much it is?
So it certainly could be upped, and that's a way of forcing people to actually build them. I will say, just personally, for folks that aren't in this business, to force them to build affordable is not necessarily a recipe for success.
Right.
I don't have confidence. They don't have the systems in place to make sure that they're following the rules.
How are these guys doing it?
They'll have to present us with a detailed management plan. They'll have a management company and they'll be required to give us annual reports to assure to us.
They have their own management company.
What is the period of affordability? Is it perpetuity?
No, I think it's 30 years.
Is that what the federal is too? Those HUD built ones? Is that, how many years are those?
It
Oh, it
depends.
depends, they're all
I think
different.
it's a minimum of 30, but then.
Okay.
Not.
Yeah, okay.
This is great.
So
Yeah.
this is a great example of, we talked about a housing authority. We don't have one. I'm the one who gets the phone call around all these issues. I'm not frankly equipped to handle this. I'm not an expert in the field. And whoever follows me will be the one taking those calls. So I think we're in a bit of, on one hand, I'm really pleased they're producing units.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's gotta be someone in town hall that holds them accountable. And, we've got planning board approvals and we've got means to enforce. We do require annual reports, but it requires someone to stay on top of all that.
It's the housing firm.
Well, and in other communities, that's
Yeah.
who.
Right, that's right.
Could be
Is the overseer.
Hey,
You could contract with the housing authority.
You could, and we may
Third party.
wish to.
Yeah,
Oh, you
What's that?
can? I didn't know you could do that.
yeah.
Interesting.
So, great, Tom, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
That's
I will
what-
also mention, this is just a conversation, but Oak Hill Plaza, you picture between McDonald's and the car wash, there's a dance studio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
May still be in operation.
Mhm.
The developers, Gavin Rotolo and Steve Berg, are looking at, I think, as many as 18 one-bedroom units,
really?
some of which we're told, they're interested in doing affordable. Autumn's just had initial conversation, but I wouldn't be surprised if something.
Yeah, it's still
Cool.
around.
He's in Florida, but
Yeah.
that's still.
He's been around forever.
Yeah, no kidding.
When I was a kid,
Yeah,
I've never met Gavin. I think it was
I have.
17 years.
I have.
he used to come in the hardware store all the time.
No.
great.
And then if I could just update one other thing, you might recall 2.5, 3 years ago, really with the influx of many asylum seekers into the greater Portland area, there was a huge strain on the system generally. And Scarborough stepped up along with a number of other communities to put some money toward finding a solution. I'm pleased to mention that there has been a solution found. It was called Safe in Maine, is what the program was called.
Is that important, the place in Portland?
Yeah, this is the in cooperation with the Developers Collaborative, who really stepped up and solved many of our regional challenges. And Prosperity Maine, something called Prosperity Place. It's 50 rental units for households earning up to 80%, with 15 units reserved for people exiting the city of Portland's family shelter. So they're working closely with the city of Portland. But this is the solution that's finally materialized. And I think it does have the required kind of wraparound services, so that asylum seeking population will be well served here.
So,
is that Kevin Bunker?
mhm.
Land next to the Barron Center.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We put in, I believe, 50,000.
Yeah.
This committee recommended, council approved, and so that's just a
Good.
fraction of it's required for this project, but it's our part.
Wasn't there also like a time frame for the asylum seekers at that location to help them?
It was intentionally, I believe it is, it lines up with some of the limitations to the asylum process. There's so many months, if not a year, that they can't work.
Right.
So they aren't in a position to be self-sufficient until they can stay employed.
Yeah.
I think it's now 6 months. It was 12 originally.
That's what I heard with that project was they had until they got the right to work,
Right.
that they were gonna be there. Once they got that. they were
I think
gonna
in large
find
part, a
something
lot of
else.
the asylum seekers, that's dried up for any number of reasons,
Sure.
probably federal immigration policy related, yeah.
Mm,
But that's not to say it won't open
Yeah.
back up again. Right. And those folks were vying for the same limited housing stock that the rest of
Those
us
folks,
were.
yeah.
So there is still a need, asylum seekers.
You know, what would be interesting, and this is just Jean Marie thinking off the top of her head, so beware,
Uh-oh.
is I'm 70. Bill's older than I am. I don't know
Just by a
how old
couple
you
days,
guys
just by a couple
are.
days.
But we're gonna be gone
Yeah.
in 10,
Never, Jim.
in 10, oh yes, in 10 to 20 years, so to speak.
10 to 20.
So then what's,
Minutes.
have they done any studies on what's going on with the housing? Because there'll be housing back available when we all die.
It's
You know what I'm saying?
it's a phenomenon of all the boomers pent up in their
Oh,
50,000
yeah.
square foot house.
Right.
Yeah.
Thing is, we've
Yeah.
gone through like.
Yeah, but right. Yeah, so people are selling their homes now, right? But you've seen that. They don't get, they have small houses that get either torn down or raised or.
Right.
People aren't, they don't become starter homes. Typically, the olden days, right? A little older person would move out of their house and a young couple would move in.
Right,
That
Doesn't work that way anymore.
Because
It's been a pretty well-established human creation process over the past several
Yeah,
years.
it's not affordable.
People
And then we have the rental.
It's not up to the,
We have the
not up to
short-term
our
rental
people.
problem, that people, they were buying those smaller homes, right? That's raising the
well,
cost.
when, and I've got clients who are older than I am, who can't downsize because they can't find a smaller house
That's
to
a
move
four.
into,
Right.
that works for them.
This chart.
But I was just curious if someone's
Oh,
done any
This
studies.
chart shows student population, Scarborough schools, so, the starting point is 2014, we had about 3,100 students. Now we have, in 2025, 2,850. So it seems to defy logic.
Yeah.
Because all of the housing units that have been developed in that time frame. I think part of the answer here is that there are a lot of folks that are still in the single family home,
Right,
Without kids.
without
Yeah.
kids, their kids are long gone. I'll put myself in the category of
Yeah.
3,000 square feet that I don't live in.
Over
I live in
bedroom.
one room,
Right.
but we want to stay here and there's no other place for us to go. And so
Right.
there's a lot of people like that.
right.
And at some point, that housing stock's gonna open up again.
So that'll be
Who's
just
gonna buy it?
interesting. Is anyone looking?
It's gonna be probably fairly well off, affluent people,
Yeah.
because the housing price with school age kids, presumably. So at
So
some
let
point,
the-
it'll rebound.
And the other thing is, people just aren't having, millennials aren't having kids the way even their parents did.
Well, that's another conversation, Jim, right?
I've got one who's like, you're never gonna be a grandmother, and I'm like, yeah.
So item 7A on the agenda. So Tom, is that,
Yeah, sorry.
or no, maybe
I
item
missed off,
item
so
six
we'll get
A.
to it.
Well, no, item,
I was six.
item 5A,
Yeah.
sorry, item 5A. Zam's item.
Do I have an item?
You have an item.
Oh,
Yes, so.
Question- that's
this
not
is-
my
it's-
item.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
so
it's for the tech
So
council.
goals and accomplishments
Yeah.
and, why do we gather monthly? And what do we want
what
to
did we
gather?
accomplish in
Yeah.
25?
All of
What
that.
would like to accomplish in 26?
Right,
Just so you know, this exercise, we're sending this to all advisory boards and committees of the town. This is information we'll supply to the council in advance of their goal setting, so they have this input. So you just want to.
so we're not on probation or anything
No,
like that, all right.
no, you're not been sent
All right,
about, we're
all
not doing
right,
the same
okay.
questions.
Yeah, exactly. So in advance of all this, just in case we were on probation, I put together just a summary of all of our agendas, just to remind us what we've done. Highlight being the March meeting where we were canceled. But these are the things we worked on, at least agenda wise this year. And we did a lot.
Yeah,
Did a lot. Big focus was Marshview. Focused on some statewide legislative issues. We recently started focusing on the housing study. Engagement with town council to help educate and focus on housing issues in general. But it's been and so the outreach on goals and objectives, but it's been a great year with
that
the
report,
Alliance.
that report you gave to the council on housing,
Mm,
that was very well received by
is that
them.
right?
Oh, absolutely. Just, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm on the
Yeah,
council,
yeah,
I heard
yeah.
about it from members of the council, and I liked it. I
Yeah.
thought it was great. Oh,
Right.
so I'd
No, it
love
was
to see
good.
that
Yeah.
done.
Look, my curious is, when you asked them, how can we help? What was the answer? Did they give us some direction at that time?
I think the housing, that workshop and the interest in formulating a housing policy, which was the backdrop to that workshop. You get consumed by an overall growth discussion and kind of sidetracked and halted, frankly.
And then that Marshview project kind of.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what happened and what is happening? What should we continue with the home repair, critical home repair stuff? Trying to help seniors and other people to stay in their homes.
Yeah.
What came of that? Anything? Or was it just an action item?
Well, I think it was something we started talking about a little bit, is kind of, Bill, you've said a few times, we can't really change the market too much, right? And there's only so much we can do. I think that was an effort for us to start talking about what can we do? We've got this little pot of money, we've got a bunch of people that live in town that already have houses. They've got expenses that pile up, and are there some things around the edges to not reduce the cost of houses, but reduce the cost of people's housing.
Some housing authorities have been really successful with this kind of program, scales for homes, not
Right.
big apartments. Like that housing authority, sure, has been really successful with
Yeah.
that. But takes a housing authority, it's not.
Right.
Or you have to team with Habitat, they have a critical home repair.
Yeah.
It's finding somebody, a third party to do
Right.
it, there's, there's.
A bunch of volunteers that show up once a month can't
It won't work.
manage that.
That's sorry,
Yeah.
There's also a movement coming out of the state, I think, that's encouraging older people to take people in other words, the old boarding
Yeah.
concept. And providing background checks and blah, 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 but I just know enough about it to be
Yeah, I
dangerous.
saw an article on that, I actually took a note of that as well.
But I heard about it again through the county
Yeah.
stuff, so we've got some housing stuff going on also up in Bridgeton area. That I think we should keep our eyes on that.
So back to the agenda, item, I think council will be very interested in input from this group. I think it'd be helpful to kind of work within the confines of the questions asked.
Yeah.
So this is helpful, and I think that probably informs a lot of the responses here. How do we suggest to get from the list of what we did last year to answering the specific questions asked of council?
Right.
Take a shot at it.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, what you outlined was pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think you have to,
I could put it
you
in.
have to put some text in there.
Yeah,
Put it
Yeah.
in.
That's just a topic,
Right,
what
yeah.
do we do about it?
And-
Like,
well, yeah,
And what,
why don't
Take a shot
I
at it
put
and
something together and
circulate
circulate it
it.
and respond?
I don't presume what may happen on your next agenda item, but maybe as current chair and maybe as a parting gift to the
Right,
director.
Christmas, yeah.
Are you willing
Happy
to
to, yeah,
take that on?
yeah,
distill that down to answer the question?
sure. It'll be like the Spotify highlight reel.
Riding off into the sunset.
Yeah. Hell is on.
That's good.
Yeah, all right. Let the record show. All right, yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, it was,
not done yet.
this was, it was nice to see kind of all the things that we've
Oh, yeah.
done. It's nice to have that up on the website, all those agendas. Yeah, all right, and thanks for the prompt on that, that was. Nice to know we had some nice to be reminded we had some homework.
That due to town council action that imposed term limits on advisory board members,
Brian's.
Yes,
Brian
This
is
is it.
terming out from this group.
Ah.
He stays involved in other capacities. And that leaves us with a hole at chair.
yeah, so
I'm not volunteering.
Who wants to be chair?
I nominate Bill Shanahan.
We had this conversation.
I second. I second.
Is that a no? No, I said. Cost me a lunch to get all.
At least he bought.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you bought.
Oh, my goodness. Jeez.
He's been hustling. Why should it stop? I was kind of curious, but I was around when Mayberry's report was done and.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to come back and,
Yeah.
I had a low energy around Brian when he first asked me, but anyway, I'm happy to do it. I think there's a lot
Great.
of talent around this table and more in town.
Yeah.
to Rely on and it's in good shape. I like the enthusiasm. I don't want to be doing this myself. But I like the support it's getting and the fact that housing's got a high profile.
It does. Thank you for
Thank you.
willing to take it on, because this is important work.
Probably the last thing you'll get from me.
It's recorded, Bill, so
Yeah.
you can play it over and over.
I think Brian's done it. I was outside looking in for the longest time and I think Brian's done a great job.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I have a lot of respect for him, professional person too, that's done. Spent the time, because not everybody would do that.
Hear, hear.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Your heart's definitely been in the right place to try to see as many people as you can possibly help.
Yes, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep,
So I heard was motion and a second.
yep.
Eric, did you catch that?
It's already in the minutes, Tom, so.
All in favor?
Yeah. Congratulations, so our sympathy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your services.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'll take the liberty of just continue on with the last two items. Item 7 is public comment. Any comments on what just
Yeah.
transpired? No words?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being here and thanks for, caring about housing in the town. Hopefully we're doing some good work and useful things for.
Yeah, hopefully, like I talked to you about, you can get more things out to the senior population to be more eager to apply.
Yes.
I mean, if we're not using the funds that are there, that's not okay.
No, that was one of my questions I had. Are we doing a good enough job, or can we do a better job of promoting, educating, facilitating all the tax relief programs for seniors?
According to
So
the
are they all doing the homestead act? Do they all
Right.
do it? Yeah, applying for this. Do they all know at least about the option of a conservation? Do they
Yeah.
all, can we promote that more? Could we put a little thing in the tax bill about ways you can lower your burden? Because that's an issue for seniors, right? I think some people don't know their options.
No, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right, they don't.
Brian said it before, he said this group could be a housing resource, even if it was just a heads up to what's going on, or a reminder that it's available. I think that's
why we need to
that's
start
would be a big
with it.
step.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I was asking Steve.
Well, that's what I'm
You
saying.
do have the senior population.
Can we throw
Put it on
something in the
the
tax bill? Everybody gets that, right? Everybody looks at it. Can we put something in Scarborough Living? I mean, that's the only paper we have now. right?
Yeah.
I throw that out on my way to the.
I hope you recycle it, Jim.
Yeah, I
yeah,
do,
yeah.
but when I say throw it out, it's like, I don't read that.
Bill,
It's great.
it's time for your motion.
Anyway, he needs to
Your
go.
dinner's
Yeah.
getting cold.
His
Yeah,
dinner's
I
getting
know.
cold.
It's been moved and seconded
Has it been?
to adjourn.
It has. Oh, I missed.
Really?
Oh,
Wow, I missed it.
Eric,
too.
did you get
I
that?
missed it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
You didn't get that. All right, well, good, all right.
All in favor?
All
Aye.
right, all right.
Okay.
Good job.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Have a nice dinner.
Bye.
All right.
Can't believe you were turned out. I didn't know.